Marvel Studios wants us to believe this is not the devil. Very specific, Mephisto is not the Judeo-Christian Satan. I don't know though. He kind of looks like him, and we all know.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Extreme channel. Today we're looking at a very rare custom statue. So custom means it's a private unlicensed commission. They only made 30 of these quarter scale Mephisto statues. Now, I'm a huge Mephisto fan. So Mephisto is from Marvel Comics. His first appearance was in Silver Surfer #3, which I actually own that slab. And that's where I'm going to display this guy. If you want to see what he looks like there, make sure to check out the Extreme channel social media. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. The link for those is in the description below. But Mephisto is not the devil. And the reason for that is when he came out in the Silver Age of comics, it's when they had the comic authority. So what that was is they would basically license or regulate what was in the comics, and they didn't want anything religious. So when he was created, he's like, okay, he's not the devil, but he really is. He lives in an alternate dimension, which looks just like hell. He feeds off other people's bad feelings and thoughts and fears and hate. And he's a very cosmic, powerful, like a deity almost. So, for all intents and purposes, he kind of is Satan, but not really. Now, with that being said, the reason I like him so much, I said he debuted in Silver Surfer #3. Silver Surfer, as you know, is my favorite character. Silver Surfer is probably his arch enemy, although he's gone toe-to-toe with almost everybody, from Doctor Strange to Thor. And then he also works with some of the evil cosmic people like Thanos. Usually has his own agenda, trying to trick them. But he really is fascinated by Silver Surfer because Silver Surfer is a pretty humble guy and he wants his soul because that would give him a lot of power. More power than he already has. He pretty much, like I said, has powers close to it, that of a god. He can stop time. He can manipulate other people. He can travel interdimensionally. He can create false scenarios, which he's actually done very much so with Silver Surfer and many others. He's also very well known for the creation of Johnny Blaze into Ghost Rider. When Johnny Blaze made that deal, it was also with Mephisto. So as you see, he is actually a very big player in Marvel. However, he's usually behind the scenes. As if you believe in the traditional devil, that's kind of the same case. Most recently, a lot of people are pondering, was he behind the most recent Doctor Strange movie with WandaVision? In the comics, there's a lot of correlation between him and WandaVision's kids, which I'm not going to spoil for you because I sense that he is already built into the MCU somewhere, and I can't wait for that because I am such a big fan of this character, hence a big fan of this statue. Now, if you remember this video right here of statues I want made, one of them was exactly this, a standing quarter-scale Mephisto, and now it's here. However, my top statue I want made is him actually in a throne. While this isn't a throne, I love this statue, and let me explain why in the Extreme review today, starting with concept. Now, there's some design things, including swap out torsos and portraits that change the concept a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, let's look at this guy. On the base, you have him in his dimension. This is where he is almost invulnerable. So we call it hell. It's just another dimension. It's kind of his lair. There's lost souls there. You can see there's lava and fire, and the souls or demons or whatever they are coming up through the lava, grabbing onto him, wanting some of his power. Maybe they're begging to get out, and he is standing there very magnanimous, very proud. Because he knows how powerful he is. He knows he's a badass. And you see his cape, and there's a little bit of movement to his cape, which I really like. I think it adds almost like there's a wind effect going on. And this particular torso, he's reaching out. Maybe he's manipulating some power. Maybe he's drawing somebody near to him. Who knows? He has his classic outfit on, which isn't much. Most of what you see is him in his skivvies. And an awesome portrait. This particular portrait, his hair is styled into horns. There's a few different iterations of him. We're going to look at some different portrait options. But I love this. I think it's a fantastic take on Mephisto. I think the only thing that could beat it is if he was in a throne, as we traditionally see Mephisto, or the traditional devil. But for a standing Mephisto, I still think it's a 5 out of 5 on concept. Really well done. Design, few minor issues, including a breakage. This piece right here fell off his cape, but I don't know where. But otherwise, the packaging was really good. So before we look at some switch out options, here's the unboxing and assembly. 2 large boxes, which is expected when you have multiple torsos. So the first box just had the base, everything was fine. Second box was actually packed upside down, maybe that's why it broke. However, thankfully just a little break there. Had the cape, the bottom legs, the 2 portraits, and then the other layer had everything else. Now during the editing, I noticed that I deleted the assembly video, but the base is one piece, as you saw. All the hands coming out of the lava are another. His waist down is one piece, loincloth is a separate piece, his hands connect separately, and then of course the cape goes on before the portrait. Alright, let's measure him. As I said, he's quarter scale, meaning a real life version will be 4 times larger. The base is rather big. It's about 22 inches wide, I'd say, and maybe 20 inches deep. Then the tallest part of him is probably, it's close between his cape and the horn, just under 26 inches or so. So he is a big character, which he is in the comics, so that follows. Now, as I said, there's some different display options. From the waist down and the cape, it's always the same. Here you see the torso of him reaching out. Now, this is the portrait that is meant to go on that torso. Looks pretty cool. But there's another portrait that's not meant to go on this torso, but kind of works. So here's a bigger picture of it with the torso. But then the other swap out torso is him holding his hand up, kind of looking at his hand. I wonder if he has the ring of power. Now, this particular portrait won't work on that other switch out. Now, funny thing, I actually like this portrait better. However, on Mephisto, I think this one looks better. Kind of interesting. Now, I said there were a few flaws. 1, obviously, he was damaged. 2, particularly on the other torso, the torso doesn't sink all the way into the waist. You can see it right here. So this is the one where he's holding up his hand and looking at it. And then the cape didn't fit all the way in that one. Thankfully, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I didn't know what he was doing. Maybe he was trying to rise up some souls or something, but it just didn't flow well to me, and him reaching out like this, I think, is incredibly more badass. Not to mention that both portraits will technically work on this, where that portrait will not work on the other one. So I put that back in the box. However, I think it would have been cool if they had another display where you could have put the other torso and this head on display. Would have been neat. This one fits together great. I think how they have the arms reaching out and grabbing around him is very smart. There's a little bit of engineering that they had to do with that. Base is a little bit too big, but in my opinion, it's still a 4 out of 5. Things worked really well despite some of these flaws. And those torso issues may just be my statue here, and over time, they probably would have evened out. Paint and sculpt. Lots of red, lots of black, but it still works. Check it out. So this one's kind of difficult to define with paint because there's so many of the same colors, but what they did is they varied it a lot with those same colors. Reds, orange, brown. I love this outer base here. This looks fantastic. I like the dark appeal to it. It's like stone, but has that dark brown and some blacks mixed in with the light browns and the grays to really give you that underworld vibe. I think they did an awesome job. And the way they sculpted it up, almost stone on stone to make almost like a cauldron in the middle where the lava is. Now, I've seen lava on a few different statues. It's very hard to do. Now, here, I think they did a good job, not a great job. I love the fluidity of it. It looks like it's really flowing, whether it's those bubbles popping out or the waterfall down here, or sorry, lava fall, I guess. But I think that's a combination of both the sculpt and the paint, so I like how it has motion to it, even though it's obviously static. With that being said, it's hard to make a material that glows in real life and moves into a static piece, but I think they did a good job with the colors. It looks like real lava. It doesn't look bad, which you've seen it go south very easily on some other statues. Now, regarding the souls coming up, again, I don't know if those are burnt humans. I don't think they are because there's like this arm is so big, so I tend to think that it's actually demons like we talked about in concept, but it could be either or, but name your poison. So their skin has been charred or fried off, and you see some welts and blisters and peeling, and I really like that. I mean, so much detail into each of these hands really adds another level, and how they're grasping around Magneto, like we talked about, is so cool. He doesn't wear a lot of clothes, so for some reason he has to wrap his calves, cover his loin, and wear the arm bandages and the cape. But these look great. They're fully sculpted, but the way they sculpted them is they actually look like mixed media. It looks like it's flowing. I think they did a nice job. I like how everything's tattered from his cape to his loincloth. Now, what they did is they added a bunch of red in here on the dirtied bandages, and I think that helps with like assuming a reflection from the lava. But it really makes it monotonous with the red because you have red colors in the lava, red colors in the arms coming up, red colors in his clothes. And then finally, of course, Mephisto himself is very red. Now, they did use some black shadowing in the indentations of the muscle. I think that's great. And you even see the veins slightly painted on there. And they have a little bit of a purple hue to them, which I think is nice. His nails look fantastic. Very much reminds me of Lord of Darkness hand, Tim Curry from Legend. But I think they did a really nice job with his anatomy. He's not over muscularized. He was a little bit of a lanky guy, but I think that would have diminished the value of the character if they took away too many of the muscles. But great anatomy. The flow of the cape looks great. And again, the tattered on the bottom I think really adds to it. Makes you feel that, hey, there's a fire down there. And again, some black shading just added for color. Check out the hood on the cape on the back. And then for his portraits, like I said, while this isn't my favorite, it's my favorite when it's on him. So both have, or the other one I don't think has yellow eyes. We'll look at that in a second. The hair looks good. I love how it's bunched up like horns. It's very smart. And a few flowing down here, and that's more of a PVC material, so there won't be any issues. But I think they did a nice job. His teeth look good, very clean. The entire paint job's pretty clean. Like I said, besides the monotony of the paint, very impressive. His portrait just looks badass. Now we'll look at the other portrait here. So his eyes a little bit different, almost like they're glowing, which kind of goes well with that last portrait we saw. We don't see the inside of his mouth, but we do see his fangs. His teeth could have been done a little bit better. I think it's the paint job on them, where it's not as noticeable on the other one because they're so much smaller. Big bushy eyebrows on this one, where the other one has no eyebrows. So again, just different iterations of Mephisto. And then of course the hair flowing back. I like in both portraits how it goes from the black to red, again kind of insinuating it's being singed by the underworld. But yeah, I like this portrait a lot better. However, when they're both on there, I like that one better. So they did a really nice job with paint and sculpt, in my opinion. Paint's impressive. Like I said, despite the monotony, I'm still going to grade it a 4 out of 5. I really like what they did. You know, the pictures of this really don't do it justice for the sculpt. I think the sculpt is extremely good. While it's not perfect, I think it's a 5 out of 5. I really like this. I think they embodied Mephisto perfectly. Now, was he worth the money, though? So I got him early bird special, which means I paid in full to start with. If you paid in full up front, I think it was $1,000 plus $300 or something for shipping. Express was like $500 or $600. So he averages around $1,500, which is a lot for a 1/4 scale piece. It's a very big 1/4 scale piece, so normally I'd say that value is nowhere. However, there are so few Mephisto statues out there, and I think this is the only 1/4 scale one to my knowledge. And they only made 30 of these. And like I said, if he is introduced to the MCU, which I'm pretty confident he will be, people will love this guy. Not only the character, but the statue, as long as the MCU does him justice, which is a little questionable nowadays. So I think the value is very strong on this, or will be very strong. I think it's a 4 out of 5 either way, even if they don't make more, but you're a big fan of Mephisto. Like I said, he's been involved in so many other characters. He's going to look great in my Silver Surfer display. I still think that the value will shoot up with this guy. So does he have the X factor? Is he a 5 out of 5 statue? Is he one of my favorites? Now, I have a lot of favorites, a lot of things tie into favorites. It may or may not involve some of the scores we went through. I really, really like this in person. I'm more impressed than I thought I would be. So I bought him because I needed a Mephisto statue and he looked pretty good. But in person, I think he's really good. I do give this the X factor, at least for me. And it could be my ties to him. I can't wait to see what he looks like in front of that slab. Again, if you want to see that, check out the Extreme Channel social media. Link is in the description below. So one last thing I have for you guys. If you are going to New York early December, we have the Rochester Toy Hunt. I will actually be there as well. Tickets are really cheap. Check the link in the description below for that. You can come hang out, see what cool collectibles they have, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. But in the meantime, comment what you think about this guy. Did you even know who Mephisto was? Did you think this was the devil? It's kind of like in Lord of Darkness. Tim Curry wasn't the devil. He was the Lord of Darkness. That's a badass character too. But throw down in the comments because you could win a statue. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I'm very happy with this Mephisto statue. Props to the makers. If you haven't subscribed, you like stuff like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. At the very least, give me a like. It's free, easy, and it helps me a lot. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.